Welcome back to another PFF Prospect Profile. Today we're going to talk about one half of that Georgia backfield, Sony Michel, one of our highest graded running backs in this draft. On a per touch basis, there were few better than him last year. Why do we think he's one of the best in this class?
I think he's a really talented back. That Georgia backfield are going to provide two very good players to the NFL. He's an intriguing guy because you talk about, stylistic matchups between runner and the kind of systems they're going to hit in the NFL. Sony Michel is that perfect one-cut zone running scheme. That's where he's going to be successful. If he lands in a team that plays a lot of zone blocking up front, he's got the ability to just burst through those gaps, whether it's outside zone stretch plays, whether it's inside zone, get significant gains that way.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a running back in this class who's more willing to take one cut and get up to full speed as soon as possible as Sony Michel is. He just has that innate sort of almost uncoachable knack for the position, knack for running in a zone scheme that I think he'll be coveted by teams that run zone schemes more than I think that's someone who ends up drafting him, because you can see that. That shows up on tape again and again, even if he did have limited carries there at Georgia splitting time.
Yeah, absolutely. His burst when he does make that cut, he puts his foot in the ground and just goes. His burst is phenomenal, and I think it's significantly more impressive than his measured combine times, his 40 time. I think he's a much more impactful, speedy guy than that because of that one step and burst. If you look at his elusive rating in 2017, one of PFF's most stable, most predictive metrics, he was number 5 in the nation, or among the draft class. 90.5, anything up towards 100 is phenomenal. He was an extremely talented runner in terms of getting yards after contact because of that burst and breaking tackles along the way as well.
Yeah, to me, he's almost like a poor man's Dalvin Cook in that running ability, and in the fact that he didn't test as well as I thought he would. But Dalvin Cook last year only ran a 4.5. I thought pegged him as almost a 4.4 guy with how explosive he was. Michel, too, one of the most explosive in terms of big runs last year per touch in the nation, yet only ran a 4.54 at the combine. To me, though, his play speed is faster than that. You look at his yards after contact per attempt the last 3 years, been over 3 each season. That just sort of consistency really bodes well, really makes him sort of an easy evaluation in terms of his projection from NCAA to the NFL.
Yeah, I think so. And again, I think this is going to work in the favor of both Georgia running backs, but because it was a backfield by committee, both these guys have got relatively low mileage on the clock. Both of them are pretty fresh, hitting the NFL where they can do the most damage. The question I have with Sony Michel is, like a lot of these guys, what kind of factor are they in the passing game, which is so important in today's NFL? Sony Michel had just 80 targets over his entire college career. If you pull up his spider chart in your PFF draft guide, which you guys can get yourselves if you've got PFF Edge, PFF Elite, it's in both those packages. Just that way that spider chart is, all the stuff ahead of the gray line. The gray line is the college or the draft class average. Everything above that gray line is impressive, and his overall grade, his run grade, the elusive rating, the breakaway percentage, all of the ball-carrying aspects of his game are fantastic, but where that spider starts to struggle compared to the league average is all of the receiving stuff, yards per route, whether it's the passing grade, all of that kind of stuff. So can he be a big impact player as a receiver, which is so important now?
That is so important, and that is our biggest question with Michel. But as a runner, we don't have nearly as many questions. There you have it, our PFF prospect profile for Georgia running back Sony Michel.